So this automation builds out a newsletter, blog article, whatever you want it to kind of be, off the basis of a email. So this is where we're going to start. We're using Gmail just because that's the one that's connected on here. We've literally just simply got it set up so it goes through and picks all of, you can pick your folder. So for this one we're just using the inbox because only the information goes into here. We're just going to set them to get marked as read once they've been finished fetching. There are some advanced modules and stuff like that, so if you wanted it to only be the subject line, so let's say you want it to include the words Google, or you only want it from so and so, all of that can be added quite simply into here. So you can also choose when to start from, or you also go from now. Okay, the next part, using ChatGPT. So this is a very simple module. It's just the case that we are using GPT 3.5, which is just the cheapest option, as it doesn't really need to do anything complicated. So the prompt is, you are a researcher, which means that it's basically going to do some research on the Gmail thing, and then from there it basically comes up with a list of questions, which is important for Perplexity, as Perplexity has got access to the internet, so we can do that as we go through. And then max tokens are set as 0, just because then it's limited on the model, not limited by like our choice. Temperature I've got set fairly high just because it's got so much to work with that it can come up with some brilliant questions, and then we're narrowing it down later anyway. So all of this is kind of irrelevant. You can go through if you want, just how you want the format. It's important to have as text and not as JSON, but it's going to another AI module, so it doesn't really matter. That's everything with that ChatGPT module. The only thing to note as well is we've got an error handler, because if the email size is too big for 3.5 as an input, it then goes this way to the 4.0 system, which basically is more expensive but can handle that bigger input. So we have probably like 1 in 10 go down that route, but most of the time. Make sure you follow along so you get to know how we build this whole entire newsletter automation, so you never have to write a newsletter again. Okay, next part is Perplexity. This gets asked all of the questions from the earlier model. So this is just the case that you can kind of go through and it will build out, like, go away, find out some information, build a good range of sources. This basically is another great way of having, like, let's say this is your competitor's newsletter. We don't want it to just rip that off, so hence why we get it to ask questions. It does collect that information, but Perplexity will come up with about 6 or 7 other sources to kind of build the article together, so you're not getting flagged to copyright and so on. So the next part on here is the choices from there. We've got this set as system and then user. Systems basically how you want it to look and feel, what you want it to do, and then users actually how it gets formatted. Max tokens were set once again at 0, so it's open to all of them. Anything else complex on here that you need to know? No, I'll leave all of those blank. Okay, next part is the news article creation. So this is actually where the article gets built from the 2 bits of information we've got on earlier. So you're a world-class blog writer. This is basically just giving context of what it is that they're doing, and you're going to build as a news article basically. Then we simply add the 2 parts of information that we already have. There's no point adding the questions that ChatGPT have come up with. We're just doing Perplexity and the actual email itself. Once again, max token set as 0, and once again systems at the top, and then users. System once again just frames everything that you need to know. So this is saying like you're a world-class blog writer, blah blah blah, and then we're inputting the information in the second part. Wonderful. The next one we'll run through as one. So title. This is just asking them to write a title, basically turn the outputs from this one into a shorter title. Once again, max limit as high as you want. Then we're going to adapt it for SEO. So once again, we're still using 3.5 for this, just because it's very, very capable of doing that. You might benefit from going to 4.0 on something like this. However, the client requested it to be as cheap as possible because he's doing hundreds of these articles. So now you're an SEO expert instead. So once again, we're in systems and then user. This is just kind of saying how we want it, like optimize it for search engine, all of that kind of stuff, and then we're giving it the title and then the body copy there, so it's able to build it out. Once again, keeping the temperature very low, it shouldn't actually need to do anything other than reword a couple of bits, so there's no need for it to make up and kind of add on extra bits. And then simply translating it to a different language. Once again, you're translating this to Spanish, text, title, and then it's just, that's going to be our last call, and it very simply throws it into a Word document, creates a new Google Drive document. It's just stored in the drive, and that's how it's laid out. So this, you could have it attached to your website or wherever you kind of want it to be. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. This bottom row is exactly the same. It's just got the higher input.